The story opens with a flashback of Andy and Vicky McGee admiring their infant daughter Charlie. She's placed in the crib as they both leave the room, but soon Andy gets the feeling that something is wrong. When he returns to check on Charlie, he sees that the object above Charlie and other things in the room are starting to burn. Hurriedly, as Andy lifts her up, he sees that Charlie is also on fire. Fast forward to the present, Andy suddenly wakes up in the middle of the night. He finds Charlie sitting by herself in the kitchen, having just had a nightmare. When he tries to comfort her, she shares her concerns about the bad thing, which is her pyrotechnic abilities. Apparently, she has the ability to set fire to anything. Andy reassures Charlie that there's nothing to be worried about. Soon, Vicky also joins them as they begin to prepare breakfast. In another flashback, Vicky and Andy are shown as young college students who are taking part in clinical studies. The two are given Lot 6, an experimental medicine, and their evaluations and tests are documented. The same substance is shown to be used by others, with more violent and lethal outcomes. However, Vicky develops telekinetic abilities as a result of Lot 6, whereas Andy receives telepathic power known as the Push. Firestarter is a movie where a couple tries to hide their daughter Charlie from a shadowy federal agency that wants to harness her power of turning fire into a weapon of mass destruction. When a mysterious operative finally finds the family, he tries to seize Charlie once and for all, but she has other plans. Now back to the movie. In the present day, Andy makes a living by using his power. He assists people with their addictions as a life coach. He can hypnotize his patients with just a snap of his neck and a focused gaze. Although his sessions are expensive, people still pay him because they're aware of their benefits. However, using this superpower constantly has negative effects on his health. A series of gradual brain hemorrhages causes him to start bleeding from his eyes. On the other hand, Vicky has ceased using her power since she's aware of its negative implications. Next, we see Gavin, one of Charlie's classmates, humiliating her. He mocks her for not having a cell phone or Wi-Fi at home, and she's labeled as a weird girl in the class. However, her teacher, Miss Gardner, treats her with kindness. When she gets home, she sobs in front of Vicky about why they aren't allowed a cell phone or Wi-Fi. However, Vicky reassures her by stating that it's bad for her health as well as expensive and beyond their budget. Later on, Vicky tells Andy that Charlie needs to learn how to utilize her skills rather than keep them under a leash. Nevertheless, Andy dismisses her, claiming that she's still too young to be exposed to such things. The next day, Charlie is playing dodgeball with her classmates. In the meantime, Gavin strikes her from behind while laughing at her. She grows enraged but tries to keep it under control to avoid a terrible situation. Therefore, she enters the restroom and opens the faucets and locks herself inside the lavatory. In the meantime, Miss Gardner follows her and notices that the bathroom is filled with steam and hot water, and that the open taps have abruptly stopped pouring. With a shaky voice, Miss Gardner asks Charlie if she's okay. However, Charlie tells her teacher to give her some space and leave. Shortly after, the door is knocked off by an explosion in the washroom. Later, due to Charlie's actions and property damage, Andy and Vicky are summoned to the school. The school suspects she used an explosive to carry out the action, and as a result, she is expelled from the school. When Andy gets home, he realizes that they need to flee because the Department of Scientific Intelligence will find a way to get in touch with them and capture Charlie for research. Vicky advises Andy that Charlie needs to learn how to use her ability so she can control it, but Andy holds his belief that repression is the only way to remain hidden. He cannot risk Charlie being taken by the scientists of DSI. In the meantime, Charlie overhears their conversation and breaks down in tears. They reveal to Charlie that they are being tracked because of their special abilities, which is why they are unable to use Wi-Fi or cell phones. When Charlie hears this, she begins to hate herself even more, believing she's a demon. Enraged with anger, she sets her mother's hand on fire, but unfortunately, Andy is able to keep up with Vicky by putting out the fire. Nevertheless, Vicky forgives her daughter as she's aware that Charlie has no control over the situation. She then requests that Andy either take Charlie to the movies or get her an ice cream. Meanwhile, all of this is monitored in a secret facility by Captain Jane Hollister, who is the leader of the DSI. She wants to seize Charlie so that she can be trained to be put under their control and then use her power for their own purposes. As a result, she makes contact with Rainbird. an assassin who formerly helped the DSI in removing a similar obstacle. He's presently employed as a janitor. Rainbird finally agrees to the task after much persuasion, but this time, he's asked to bring the girl alive. Vicky is by herself at home because her daughter and husband are out. She senses that something is off and turns back, only to see Rainbird sitting on her sofa. Vicky refuses to provide any information when he questions her about Charlie's whereabouts. Using his telepathic skills, Rainbird discovers that they went for ice cream in movies. Meanwhile, Vicky leaves and locks herself in the room. She then starts throwing things at Rainbird while using her telekinetic ability to keep him away. However, because she lacks practice, she frequently misses the mark. Finally, he grabs her and chokes the life out of her. Moments later, Charlie and Andy are back in their house. As soon as they step inside, Rainbird approaches them and demands Andy give up while holding Charlie at knife point. Charlie and Andy are concerned and keep asking Rainbird about Vicky, but Rainbird doesn't answer them. Eventually, Charlie loses control and releases her mother, who is locked in a cupboard using her telepathic skills. After seeing her mother dead, she screams in rage, causing a fire to break out and destroy their home. Soon after the incident, Andy takes Charlie and drives off in his car. However, Rainbird also manages to make it out alive. On the other hand, at the nursing facility, Captain Hollister pays a visit to Dr. Joseph Walnes. Evidently, Dr. Walnes is responsible for the Lot 6 experiment conducted on students, which he now immensely regrets. Hollister tells him about Charlie's situation and urges his help. However, Wellness claims that Charlie threatens the entire world and that one day she may even possess the nuclear bomb capacity. Therefore, in his opinion, Charlie must be killed, which Hollister disagrees with. In the meantime, Charlie and Andy stop for a rest as Charlie sets out on her own to try to master her abilities. She tries to befriend a cat who scratches her, and Charlie unintentionally sets the cat on fire. When Andy arrives, he informs her that she must now end its suffering, which she does. Later, the cat is buried, and a memorial service is held in its honor by them. Shortly after, they come across a man named Irv on the highway. He declines when Andy offers to pay him $100 to give him a ride to Boston. However, Andy uses his power to manipulate him, and Irv is ready to take them for a ride. He also gives them a place to rest for the night and food to eat when they stop at his house. Essie, Irv's wife, who is confined to the bed due to an accident, forms a friendship with Charlie. Later, when he sees Charlie leaving Essie's room, Irv is enraged. But after realizing that Charlie can communicate with Essie, he apologizes for his behavior. The next day, Irv is watching television when he finds that Andy is prominently featured in the news for killing his wife and kidnapping his daughter. Irv has his doubts about Andy and claims that he's not a murderer or a kidnapper, and informs him that he has already phoned the police. Meanwhile, Charlie shows up and reveals that she knows Irv is responsible for Essie's accident and the death of his son. She also says that Essie has been wanting to say for years that she forgives him for the accident. Hearing this, Irv is shocked to learn that Charlie and Essie can communicate despite Essie's inability to talk. He understands that Charlie is unusual, and that's why the cops are looking for them. In the next scene, the police show up at Irv's residence in search of Andy. Irv admits that he probably confused the dream with reality as he was drunk when he made the call. But the police respond that they must search the house even though it's a false alarm. In the meantime, Rainbird emerges from the bushes, kills the police officers, and also shoots Irv in the knee. Andy immediately manipulates Rainbird one last time using his abilities so that Charlie can flee into a forest. Shortly after, the DSI men arrive and take away Andy and Rainbird. Now, Andy is being questioned by Hollister, who won't reveal Charlie's whereabouts. Then, when she questions Rainbird about why he let the girl run off, he responds that she would come to the DSI headquarters to seek her father. He also asserted that Charlie is both his mother and sister. Knowing she will kill him, he's prepared to accept it because it's what he truly deserves. Rainbird finally understands Charlie is superior to them all after coming into contact with her benevolent power. In the meantime, Charlie continues practice hitting the target in the nearby forest. After numerous failed attempts, she's finally mastered the ability to regulate and utilize her strength. She makes an effort to communicate to find where her father is and realizes that her father is being held in the DSI headquarters. The following day, she hypnotizes young boys on the street, taking their bicycles and wearing their clothes. Charlie is in front of the DSI building, where she locates a DSI agent and takes his pass card. When she asks him for the gun, he replies that he doesn't have a gun and begs her not to kill him. He cautiously draws the gun to shoot her when she asks where her father is. As soon as she mentions this, she sets him on fire. However, this activity is being monitored by security. She then begins to enter the building using the agent's credentials, destroying the CCTV cameras as she goes. After making it to the location where her father is confined, she quickly understands that everything she has just entered is a sophisticated trap. The truth is that Andy never communicated with Charlie or asked her to come. Meanwhile, Captain Hollister welcomes her. Hollister invites her to join their team and promises to look after her and properly train her. However, Andy says that all of these are untrue and that his daughter will only be a murdering machine employed by the government. To put an end to this situation once and for all, he urges her to stop running. Hollister warns that if she gets burned, her father will also be burned. However, despite never wishing to do so, Andy uses the push on Charlie as the last option so that she can burn the place down. In a matter of minutes, Hollister and Andy both die in the fire. In the meantime, when trying to leave the building, Charlie burns everybody who stands in her way. A group of men wearing fireproof suits tries to take Charlie, but Rainbird kills them by shooting. Charlie hates Rainbird for killing her mother, but she's unable to carry out her desire to kill him. She finally sets the headquarters on fire after leaving the building. Following the passing of both of her parents, Charlie ultimately breaks down and falls to her knees. Meanwhile, Rainbird extends his hand to her while standing next to her. On a positive note, Charlie accepts his hands and he carries her away as the movie comes to an end. That's it, guys. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Continue with this movie now.